Hey, we're live. We're live. How y'all doing? Welcome to another episode of the Pre-PT Chat Live. Man, where every Thursday we come out and drop some content for you guys and give you guys some bits of information from our viewpoint that will be beneficial to you as pre-PTs. And so before we begin, we're going to share this out. It looks like Casey's not outside in the middle of nowhere right now, which because usually he's in California, so usually he's walking around holding his phone and all that stuff. So let's share this out, and then we will get started. Casey, give us a little bit of an update, man. How you been, brother?
Oh, doing great. It's fun to be an almost PT. I'll tell you that. It's definitely everything I thought it would be. So you guys keep pushing, keep grinding. Because if I stopped, I would not be here right now. So don't let the GRE stop you. Don't let your GPA stop you. Don't let other people, and most importantly, really yourself, like your own negative thinking, your own mind. Don't let that stop you either from everywhere you want to go. So everything out here is all good. How about you down in Florida?
Bro, everything out here is always good. I mean, the weather's always nice. But no, everything's been absolutely fantastic. Loving everything about this place. It was my first winter away from snow. Made a little bit of a visit for a little bit to Michigan, but first full winter where it's all warm weather. Been an absolutely phenomenal experience, just getting even more acclimated to the PT profession. Obviously, seeing patients and all that good stuff. But I'm just hype about our call tonight, about our live tonight. What's up, Gabby? How you doing? So Gabby came in earlier this week. She hung out with us here at the clinic. It was a blast. Gabby's hype, y'all. Gabby is no joke. And so when she came in, we took care of business. She got to meet all of our patients. She got to see how we run the clinic. After having, I think Gabby's worked at 6 different clinics, and she was like, yo, I've never seen anything like this before. How y'all got some different kind of machinery moving up in here. And so she was super excited. Then we did a live stream. If you have not caught that live stream, go back through our pre-PT grind, in our Facebook page, go back through the videos and check it out and hear a little bit about what she learned that day. But Gabby, it was good to have you here with us at the clinic. It was a blast. And for any of y'all that, want to know a little bit more about what Gabby's experience was like, hit her up. She's a good person to talk to. But tonight we're telling you, appreciate it, fam. But tonight we are talking about the GRE. We're talking about the GRE, and I know there's going to be some people that watch it live. So if you're team live, we need you guys to just ask questions. So we want interaction from individuals on here that have already taken the GRE and are chilling. Comments based on what your experience was like. We want comments from people that are just preparing to take it, and comments from people that haven't even thought about taking it, because in some way, shape, or form, it is one of the gateways to becoming a physical therapy student. It is one of the gateways. It's not always the most exciting gateway. In the same way that, when Casey's about to graduate later this year, he has to take his physical therapy board exam. It's one of the gateways. If Casey wants to be a physical therapist, he's got to do it, right? And so because of that, tonight we want to help you guys out because we know that, especially after taking the GRE, it can be a good experience if you go in and everything kind of works in your favor. But at the same time, it can be a very frustrating experience if you don't necessarily get the scores you want, if you feel like you actually put in the work. Now, if you did not put in the work, then, well, there's a good place to start. But for those of you that most of you actually put in the work before taking the GRE, it's just that maybe the strategy and how you went about it might be off, and how we would, recalibrate you to make sure that your score jumps up is what we're going to kind of hit tonight. So you take the GRE, and maybe the score doesn't go the way you want it to. Maybe math is a bit of a challenge for you, or the vocab section. You're having a hard time just kind of balancing it out. And so because of that, you're saying, how do I set myself up to do well in the GRE? We all know that there are, not all. I'm not going to make a general statement, but most of us know that there are programs that don't necessarily, weigh the GRE heavily. But we don't want to go that route. You don't want to say, I didn't do well on the GRE. Let me just apply to a program that won't necessarily pay attention to that. That's not the option that we want you guys to have. We want you guys to have the ability to, I know we say 5 schools. I know we say, be able to tailor yourself to 5 schools that fit your current situation, that you can then become the perfect PT, pre-PT student for them, or the perfect applicant for them. But even in that, you still want to have a bigger pool to choose those 5 schools from. You want to have more options, because once you identify schools that match up with what you're doing, then that's great. So the GRE becomes one of those things, and it's something we'll talk about it tonight. But just remember this: the GRE is it's like a seesaw. It's like a seesaw. The GRE, yo, what's up, Greg? How you doing, brother?
Hey, GT, what's up?
No, so the GRE is like a seesaw, guys, where you can, when you don't do as well on the GRE, don't necessarily see that as the final, the final thing that's going to, prevent you from getting into physical therapy school, because it's just one of the different things in the application process. Does that make sense? If you have any questions on that, feel free to comment. So you can still apply and not necessarily have the greatest GRE score, but if you have a good GRE score along with the grades and a perfect, well, not perfect, but you've improved your chances of getting into PT school by designing yourself into the perfect applicant for your 5 schools, then your chances of getting in do go higher. So that's what we want to talk about, because a lot of things that we actually mess up on as students, taking the GRE or most standardized exams, are things that can be prevented. Sounds good? They're things that can be prevented. And so, Casey, break down to us a little bit about how, okay, so let's start with the students that have taken the GRE already. All right. And we're going to talk about it, Felicia. Good question. Talk to us, Casey, about students that have taken the GRE. Let's start with them first, because we're going to hit those that have not taken it yet. We're going to hit the ones that have done well. But those that took it and did not do well, and are trying to figure out, what should my next step be? What should I be doing? Because Casey Joseph, I'm struggling. I'm freaking out. If y'all are like me, and I did the wrong thing, and the first time I was doing it, I grabbed the book and I started reading from cover to cover, which is a waste of my time, and y'all will understand why. But Casey, what do we do as pre-PTs who are struggling? We're like, yo, we're trying to pass this thing. We want to get into a PT school, but it just doesn't seem to work out. Like, I put in all this effort, sat down for the 4-hour exam, it just did not happen. What do we do, Casey?
Yeah, well, one of the first things you got to do is figure out what the problem was. Whether that takes you an hour, whether it takes you a week, what was the main problem with that test? Because we can't fix the problem if we don't know what it is. So that's the first thing you got to do. Was it math? Was it verbal, writing? Was it you not studying hard enough? You not being organized? You not being disciplined? Were you not taking practice tests? Were you kind of, being sloppy with your studying? What was it? What really was it that took you down in that test? Was it your anxiety? Was it you not being prepared for that setting? Because, you are in a formal setting with a computer, other people around you, got to get scanned in. Whatever it was, you got to find out what that problem is. Then next, you have to attack that problem. And a few things you can then do, depending on what your problem was, is one, get organized with a timeline. Like, this just as well as anybody with studying for the NPTE and stuff like that. You got to get organized with your time and your study schedule. So that's just one. Next is finding a prep course that works for you. There's a lot of them out there. There's some free resources. You can go to the library and get a free book. A lot of the libraries have Kaplan or Princeton Review there that you can just check out or stay at the library and study. So find one that works for you. A lot of people say, oh, this one is great. Then other people are like, no, use this one. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Use one that works the best for you. Do your research, be diligent. Don't be sloppy with it. Do your research and find one that's good for you. Next is, I'll let you talk about mindset with what Kyle Rice says and all that stuff. But lastly is practice tests. Make sure you take practice tests. Practice. Setting, prepare. What was that again? He was saying something about how did I prepare or something like that?
Yeah. So how did you prepare for it then?
So I took, what was the prep course I took? I took Kaplan, actually.
I used Kaplan.
When I was preparing, and I just used the book. I used their study schedule. I used the flashcards, but I was real diligent with it. And when I studied, a majority of it was over winter break. So I didn't really have any school distractions. I didn't have anything like that. But at the same time, it wasn't really structured. It was just out of my own will. I had to stay disciplined. I couldn't slack off. It was tempting because it was winter break and everything. And I just had to get up, study, follow my schedule, go to sleep, get up, study. I was very disciplined with it. I was disciplined to the point here. I'll even say this. My test was on January 1st, New Year's Day. And I didn't go out with friends the night before for New Year's Eve. I didn't party. I didn't stay up late. I actually remember having my Kaplan GRE flashcards when the fireworks were going off on TV.
Wow.
And I was just sitting there.
You just hear like,
my card. I was like, oh, Happy New Year. And I was just going through my card. So that's how disciplined I was.
Oh my goodness.
Schedule in my preparation for the test. So that's just a little snippet of how I prepared.
Yeah, man. Okay. So quick story. And then we're going to hit this because this is a lot more in depth and we're going to do like a bird's eye view to help you guys put it all together. So when I was taking the GRE, so Casey and I both went to school in Michigan. So very similar to how Casey, was studying over Christmas break and took it, right after January started and all that stuff. That's how it was scheduled for me the first time. So your boy wasn't playing around. Now, this is when I was studying for it poorly, right? Remember, I told y'all I was studying from like cover to cover. I was wasting time. Because I thought, if I can just get through every single page of this book, and I got pretty darn close to it, but it didn't help me one bit. Like if I can get through, pretty much most of this book, I'll be good. Now, what happened was, I was studying over that December break, and I'm a big like Lakers fan. So on Christmas Day, Lakers are playing, and your boy had already finished all the Christmas celebrations, and so I'm just there watching the Lakers / studying, which you already know means not really studying. But every other day during that Christmas break, I was just studying. And so that January, the day I was supposed to take the exam, Michigan and the entire Midwest gets a ridiculous winter storm. And the GRE place does not let me know. Like they let nobody know. So we're out here thinking, yo, listen, just roll with it. Because it's the GRE, you're not like, I've studied my butt off over all of Christmas break. I don't care if I take an hour and a half to drive a 30 minute distance. I'm getting there and I'm taking my exam. So I got there. I think it took me about an hour. So about double the time that it was supposed to take me. South Bend, Casey. So I get there, and I get to the parking lot, and they failed all of us. Like most of the students that were taking that day showed up, but the place was locked. Like workers did not show up and all that stuff. And so that's my experience with the first time I was going for the GRE. It's just a process where I studied so hard, but I think it was the best thing that could have happened to me, because then I was actually able to step back and use a lot of the strategies that we're going to share with y'all right now. Like beforehand, I was just kind of going for it, thinking that, even if we talk time frame, because people are like, how long should I study for the GRE? What should I use? What book? Casey's right. A lot of that stuff really doesn't matter as long as you utilize it appropriately. And so it gave me a chance. I didn't realize it because I didn't have to pay for it twice, the second time, and I could, and then you could retake it and improve it. But it actually gave me time to actually step back and figure out how to study for it appropriately, how to figure out where my weaknesses were and all of that. So how does it work? So first of all, and we'll get to your question about breaks, Nate, but how it works is, for a lot of you, the frustration is in the sense that if you are like myself, probably Casey as well, we're most of us are not wired to take standardized exams well. I am not. Ever since I was in grade school and they were doing standardized exams, most of us are not wired. Some have it a little easier than others, but not all of us are wired that way. We don't think that way. And to have to sit for an exam for that long, it's just a very different experience for most of us. The endurance, the way questions are asked. We feel as though half the time, they're being structured to like trick us, and we don't know like whether to go for the answer that seems right or the one that doesn't, because and so here's how it is. Let me break it down in a simple way that will actually make a lot more sense. If you take a step back for the GRE, the biggest thing that you can do to help yourself is identify what you're weakest in. Just like if you can identify that, then you already eons ahead of where I was the first time. It took a snowstorm to save my behind. But you have to identify where your weaknesses are. And the best way to do that, and I know y'all have heard this many times, the best way to do that is to take a practice exam. But you can't just take a practice, and I'm not saying like just sit down at home on your couch and be like, okay, I'm gonna just go through this thing just so I can say that I took it. You have to take it in a controlled environment. You have to take it in a similar situation to what it would be like on the actual test day. Does that make sense? So if y'all are in the test room and it's it's a little chilly, it's quiet, no distractions, then that should be the same thing. Where do you find places like that? Local libraries. Most libraries have a location where you can go, a quiet area, maybe a room that you can reserve. But that's how you have to prepare for it. You have to make sure that you have allowed yourself to figure out like, what am I weak in when I'm actually at my best? What am I weak in when I'm actually focused? It's not the distractions. It's not all those different things. And identify that. Then you start targeting that hard. Does that make sense? That's what you start studying. That's what you start using. They have the study plans in the books and all that stuff. But if you were to step back, you have to hit those areas, right? And you can play that game as well already and already increase your score just by targeting what you're weak at, retaking the exam, targeting what you're still weak at, retaking the exam, and maybe doing that 3-4 times. And you've already set yourself up. Secondly, it's a mindset thing. When I sit down for my standardized exams, my biggest thing is I feel like there's this like anxiety that comes over me where I think, holy crap, like this is the real deal. Like I start overthinking stuff, y'all. Like this is the real deal. Shoot, I know I studied for this thing, but what if these questions that are presented here, like what if I don't know that? Like, and so now you start getting in your own way, right? You start getting in your own way. And so because of that, you have to like that habit of already taking those practice exams in a controlled environment just to identify, right? Just to identify what your weaknesses are. Just by doing that, you're actually giving yourself a lot more confidence on actual game day. Does that make sense? Because when I took, even to my board exam, y'all, when I sat down for it and I realized I've taken countless practice exams, then I sit in there and I'm like, oh, shoot, I've done this before. And there's nothing that gives you more confidence than just feeling like you've actually been there before. For y'all that watch sports, if you're shooting a 3-pointer for the first time in a real game, for like the buzzer beater, unless you're really lucky, that's not the time to do it. But if you've taken thousands of shots at that same spot in that same way, it's going to be so much easier to shoot it. Does that make sense? So when y'all are sitting for the standardized exam, like feel like you want to feel like you have done it before, because that already is going to change your focus level, right? You guys are going into that exam. Now there's ways to prepare for it, but y'all are going through that exam actually knowing a lot of stuff. You just end up psyching yourself out by freaking out, feeling like it's a new environment, getting a question that you don't know. Well, there's always going to be questions we don't know. Getting a question that you don't know that kind of throws you off, so you change your strategy, and now you're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to lose it, and now you're distracted, time's still going. Don't let that get in your way. Don't let that get in your way. So prepare for it in a controlled environment. Prepare for it in a room that's quiet, like resembles the same thing. And now when you start talking about, how do I handle my breaks? How do I do that? Like take the same breaks you're going to take on the actual exam. You know what I do on my breaks? I just pace back and forth at the actual testing center. I don't have my phone. I don't have my wallet or whatever. I'm just pacing back and forth. I remember students were like doing push-ups, doing sit-ups, like anything that just kind of gets your body moving, because you're just sitting in a very quiet, tight space for that whole time, right? But those are some of the things that y'all can already do before talking detailed strategies, before talking all these other nitty-gritty things of how to improve your math score, how to improve your vocab, all that stuff, whatever. Just by doing that, you've already taken yourself to another level. A lot of times we're like, that's the only thing that we have to do to already shift it. Like for y'all that got like a 290 total, that can get you to a 300 just by doing that, just by preparing that way and preparing and having that mindset that, you know, we did a podcast with Kyle Rice where he was saying that you should just walk in there with the confidence that you're the answer key. Like take my exam to grade everybody else's. Like it doesn't mean you're going to get every question, right? But that's the kind of confidence you should be going in with, right? So give yourselves some confidence. And hopefully this video is giving you a little bit of that insight, because that becomes a huge asset to you on the real day. Back to the three-pointer. If I shot the three-pointer before, I'm not going to shoot that three-pointer at game time, you know, kind of scared, like, oh, shoot, this is the real thing. There's, you know, 50,000 people watching. Holy crap, what if I miss? Like, I'm saying I've done this before. So your boy going to shoot it without hesitation as if it's practice. Does that make sense? And so that already starts setting things up. And so that's what I would say to start with. For y'all that have not done well on the GRE, completely reassess how you prepared for that GRE. It's not about how many months you take. Now, I think 2 months is a very good time frame if you use it appropriately. But it's like you can study for 2 months, 4 months, whatever, and literally get nowhere. Kind of like I did my first time, where the winter storm, you know, saved my behind. But because of that, you guys want to set yourself up to win. You want to walk in there. It's the same thing with the application process, y'all. No, there's nothing different. There's nothing different. You don't want to go in there with surprises, right? If you can reduce the amount of surprises and you can reduce the amount of things that are out of your control, the better. For example, questions. Y'all, if you've studied in the way that I just told you already, you're going to know a lot of the questions in the exam. But what's happening is you get to the exam and you look at it, and now you're second thinking yourself, or you hit, like I said, you hit a set of questions that's giving you a hard time, and you're like, holy crap, dang, I don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, you're just there looking at the computer, trying to reassess your life, figuring out if you're going to retake it. And then you get in your own way. So now the questions that come next that you actually know, you're there freaking out on them when you really know them, right? There should be no reason for y'all to get questions wrong that you actually know. Does that make sense? Like, there should literally be no reason to get questions wrong that you actually know, but you can't get in your own way in the process, right? So in the strategy, and if y'all are like interested in hearing about strategies and all that stuff, like hit us up, contact preptgarden.com. Just like, we'll talk more about it. Just send us a message on Facebook, whatever, we'll talk. But even in the strategies, being consistent with how you're taking the test, that's why practicing it matters, right? But you guys have to make sure that you're giving yourself, like, forget what other people's scores are getting. Like, when you're preparing for each section, it doesn't matter what section of it is. Like, aim for a higher score than what you need. Like, every single time, aim for a much higher score. When you see a question that you don't know, be like, all right, cool. Maybe I don't know it. Let me reassess in here and figure it out. But I'm not going to let it affect how I go through my other stuff. Heck, go through the easier questions first. Like, you know, save yourself some time. And then go through the harder stuff afterwards. Like, don't get in your own way. Like, like I said, you can control your mindset in there. You can control how you prepare for it. Those are the things you can control. You can control the fact that you can get the questions right that you actually know. But if you don't control those three things already, you're setting yourself up for guesswork. You're setting yourself up to shoot in the dark during the GRE. And the honest truth is, regardless of whether you're a test-taking person, regardless of whether you're not a test-taking person, it doesn't really matter. If you practice in a controlled environment, if you pay attention to what your weaknesses are and use an appropriate strategy to make sure that you're staying locked into your exam and making sure that you're reducing the amount of errors, you know what I'm saying? Like unwarranted errors, you're reducing those. And boom, yo, welcome to PT. You know what I mean? And so we can talk strategy all day. We can talk details all day, but let's be real. Let's be real. Those three things are what is like crippling most pre-PTs right now, because they're like, let's flip it. So let's say you know all of the strategies. Let's say you're like, yo, I'm Joseph, Casey. I'm good. I've actually gotten the strategies down. I got someone that's been mentoring me and all that stuff, which is good. Getting a mentor is amazing. Like, I've had someone that's like coaching me. Like, I know all the strategies. I'll be good. Like, I'll be able to utilize them. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, man. I can shoot a three-pointer, but does it mean I can shoot in an NBA game? No, your boy got to practice in that environment. So if you don't hit the 3 things I just told you, even if you actually know all the strategies, you can know all the strategies in the world. But on game day, if your confidence isn't there, if your focus isn't there, if you're getting in your own way, if now you're second thinking everything, then shoot. What does strategy matter? Is that too harsh, Casey? Or am I speaking rationally?
You got to say what you got to say.
You know what I'm saying? It's the truth. So that's my thoughts. Case, what's your thoughts, man?
Hey, that's pretty much it. We hit like 5 steps of detail. You went into depth about your 3 things. We hit the big mindset. We hit the strategies, staying organized, using the prep courses, having discipline, having the right mindset, which you just talked about. Then, practice. So we pretty much hit all the steps, all the big steps. Of course, like you said, we can get into details, but we hit those big steps about the GRE. Now you just got to put it into practice. Are you going to forget about this video next Tuesday? Are you going to forget about this video on Sunday night when you should be studying? It's all about the follow through now. We gave you the information. We gave you the strategies, the motivation, the boost to go do it. Now it's all on you now. We're good. We're in PT school. Joseph's a PT. I'll be graduating soon. So we're good. It's all about you and how you're going to follow through. So we hit it. Let's talk about what we got coming up next week. We got some big things coming.
We got some great things coming up next week. So, side note for y'all that are like, oh my goodness, I still have more questions. I'm trying to figure out my life, whatever. Contact preptgrind.com. Contact preptgrind.com. Hit us up. Contact preptgrind.com is not a website, by the way. It is how you guys get to our Facebook Messenger, and then we get to speak with y'all. Either Casey or myself. We'll send you a message and we'll talk about your situation and how we can take you to the next level. So contact preptgrind.com. Send us a message now. If your team replays, send us a message then. But next week, we got some good things coming out next week. And I'm excited. Casey's excited. We'll be announcing more on it on Sunday on our Facebook page, as well as the Pre-Doctor of Physical Therapy Students page. But we are having a 5-day video training series, a 5-day free video training series, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So be on the lookout for that. On Sunday, we're going to be releasing what those topics are. And in the video that is posted on Sunday, if you guys want to be tagged in all those videos during the week, make sure that you comment. There'll be a call to action on the actual video. So make sure you comment on it so we can tag you in every video. We don't want you guys to miss out. We don't want you guys to miss an opportunity to learn and understand ways that you guys can leverage yourselves, because y'all want to win. Y'all are hungry. So we make it happen. Does that make sense? And then we're going to actually end the week with a bang. There's going to be a live training that will not be on Facebook. Everything we do right now, well, most of the videos that you guys have been seeing are either on YouTube or Facebook. So we are doing a live training that is going to be a webinar. We'll be telling you guys more about that next week as well. Be on the lookout. It will be on May 6th at noon Eastern Standard Time. Look out for the title and what that content will be about. But we just want to give you guys the best. We want to give you guys the best content, energy, everything. So be on the lookout for that. Many blessings. Y'all have a good one. Once again, if you guys have questions, contact preptgrind.com. Do it tonight. Do it whenever you watch this video. Your success cannot wait. Your success cannot wait. And because all of y'all are different individuals, man, we got to hit y'all at different levels in terms of understanding where you are at and getting you to where you need to be. So let's get it, man. Y'all have a good evening. Many blessings. Contact preptgrind.com. Be on the lookout for next week. Also, what this means is there will not be a live pre-PT chat live next week. It'll just be the live. There will not be a podcast next week, and there will not be a pre-PT chat live next week. Those will resume the week after, because we're doing the 5-day video training series and also letting you guys know about the webinar, which you guys are going to have to register for and all that good stuff. But I think y'all will enjoy it. Looking forward to it. Y'all have a good one. Casey, anything else?
That's it. See you Sunday.
Let's do it. Y'all have a good one. Bye.